Today's Tuesday, February 17th, 2009. This is going to be my first video blog cast thing, whatever, for the Mars book, which I haven't really named it yet. So I'm going to just talk about this real quick and kind of give you an idea what the book is about and sort of flesh it out for myself as well. Had the idea, maybe about a month ago now, about what I wanted to do for my second book. I've got the first book nearly done. Let's see if we can make this look a little better. Webcams need... Don't do it. Okay, there you go. Webcams need a zoom lens. Makes it hard to lean back. And that's a little bit better. Okay. Okay, start over a little bit. The idea for my second book kind of just was playing around with just random thoughts, and Mars has been in the news a lot in the last probably 10 years now, since we've been sending spacecraft and rovers and stuff to Mars, and they've been talking about doing some kind of a colony on Mars or sending a short mission to Mars and different things like that. And so I had the idea, and as far as I know it's sort of kind of almost original. I don't think anybody else has talked about this yet, but of taking a combination of the Mayflower and the early, well, my hands are huge, don't do that anymore. So you got like the Mayflower, early American settlers, and also some of the Western exploration settlers. So you have, the Oregon Trail stories, or just the, going settling the Midwest and then settling Oregon and California and the Gold Rush and that kind of a mentality where you'd have private people funding their own way to the New World. And I haven't quite decided if it's going to be like the Mayflower, where they wanted to go to the New World to escape the old world because of religious freedoms or persecution, or like the Oregon Trail and the California Gold Rush of having a new opportunity and possibly riches waiting for them, or some exploration ideas of going for the adventure of just going to a new world, and all of like what Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek and that was talking about going boldly out and exploring and finding what's out there and testing yourself against the universe, kind of a thing. So that was kind of my thought, was okay, we've already been sending things to Mars, so we know how to get there, and if we wait for the government to do it, they always overtest everything. And so it's, granted, the space shuttle program isn't perfect, but if you look at the amount of time that they put into making it as good as possible, I think that a private person, look at how many people build a helicopter in their backyard or try to perfect the rocket backpack, and they go spiraling off into nowhere. So granted, we wouldn't do it quite, we wouldn't launch to Mars unless we thought we could at least get off the ground, right? But with some technology that's in the news lately, of things like, okay, we've got the space shuttle, we've got the International Space Station. There has been private people who have gone up to Mir, and I think there's been private people up to the International Space Station already. So there's programs in place where for an obscene amount of money, a private person could get into space. And then there's also Virgin Galactic and programs like that, where you could get your astronaut wings by paying some money and going up to a minimum altitude, and officially you're an astronaut now, and that kind of thing. So it's there's precedences there. Things like the space elevator. There's a competition that's been happening for a few years now, where different groups and colleges and so on get together and they say, okay, there's a huge, I'm trying to think of the wording because I haven't really pre-thought this before I started talking, but the amount of energy it takes to get a spacecraft moving from the launch pad is enormous, because it takes so much power to lift all of the fuel that it's going to need to get it from ground to orbit. And so there's been, it started in probably sci-fi, but a lot of sci-fi is based on a reasonable idea, and then you go from there of, what if you could have a tether or a cable that extended from ground into space, and then you could put like a trolley car, essentially, or essentially an elevator car, and you'd start on the ground, and then it would somehow climb the cable, and then you'd be in space, at the other end of the cable. And so the theory is you put a satellite in geostationary orbit, like where the TV satellites are, and so it doesn't move relative to the Earth. And through a series of steps, you eventually end up with a continuous cable that runs all the way from Earth to the satellite. And from that, it's just a matter of making a device that can climb the cable, and instead of blasting off with millions of pounds of explosive fuel, you just ride the cable, and once you're up there, you are in orbit. And anyway, so there is people learning how to make that work, and so since we're talking sci-fi, we'll just say that, well, the space elevator is one viable option. If you could reduce the cost of getting into orbit, that would greatly simplify your process of getting away from the Earth and into other, out into the solar system and to Mars, into the Moon, and so on. Once that became privatized and commercially acceptable from a price point of view, then it's just simply a matter of moving your spaceship, one piece at a time, into orbit and parking it near the space elevator, getting your people up there, getting your cargo up there, and then from there, then you'd launch, make that your starting point, and launch from there. Either stop off at the International Space Station, or orbit the Moon for a while, or whatever, and then from there it's I forget what the timeline was, but it's all of the information you need is already on the NASA website. It's just a matter of a little bit of Googling, and you figure out, okay, this is how you get to Mars, and follow the steps.